Alrighty everyone, welcome back. We are basically in the middle of September as of right now, and there's a lot of things happening between Disney's higher-ups and Bob Iger and the current shakeup that's been happening for the past number of months that has only gotten more severe, all thanks to Bob Iger for really being the leading cause to Disney hitting an all-time low, almost nearly I should say, for the stocks and the ongoing box office failures, the lower attendees at the Disney parks. I mean, it doesn't stop there. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get into exactly what's going on with Snow White 2024 and specifically director Marc Webb. Now we know that there's a lot of things happening with this film involving Gal, Rachel Zegler, as well as even Peter Dinklage, who's not even in this movie, that is basically defending Rachel behind the scenes. They're now two very close friends from working on the Hunger Games, so there's a lot of drama happening between all of these major celebrities, you know, people like Peter and Gal, and really the whole thing about Marc Webb. That's an ongoing issue. Now we have more to discuss about this ongoing problematic situation for Disney, and it's not looking good. Now, we know that there's a lot of re-edits underway as we speak for this movie. They are desperately trying to salvage this movie, and I know I've said this many times before, but there's nothing that you can do to save this movie as long as you got the magical creatures in there that are not true to the seven dwarfs, as long as you got Zegler as Snow White. This movie is not going to work at all. But anyway, moving onwards, alright? So, with Snow White going through major adjustments by Disney ahead of its trailer debut to the world, one major development has to do with Snow White director Marc Webb and the Disney higher-ups. As it turns out, Webb was going to be getting a movie deal with Disney that he was recently removed and fired from entirely, as they are looking to fulfill the open slots with the cancelled show, of course, for the Snow White spin-off, and their movies, with other, of course, opportunities to expand. This all fell apart. In a shocking turn of events, however, Webb was also set and ready to direct a Disney original live-action franchise, as well, separate from the planned Snow White cinematic universe that would consist of movies and shows on Disney Plus that fell apart. As it turns out, this was the film that was going to star actress Phoebe Waller-Bridge in a film about witches based in the 1900s, and was aimed to be a dark comedy movie franchise that Marc was attached to. Ever since the whole Snow White fiasco started and the ongoing drama between Webb and Disney, he was fired and let go from the golden opportunity as well as this. And although Waller-Bridge is no longer attached to this project at this time, the film franchise is still moving forward and will be officially announced at next year's first earnings call by Bob Iger. Now guys, let me just pause here quick before I get to the next big piece about this, is that we actually talked about this. They have quite a number of franchises that they're trying to lift and trying to create like a new quote-unquote Pirates of the Caribbean type thing where you got a multi-film format, very wide open scale movies, one of which is going to be a spy film franchise, this one in particular, a film franchise about witches. So they have one about pirates, and that's loosely based on the ride, mind you, but they want one about witches now, and that's what they're aiming for, to make it into a dark comedy film franchise. Marc Webb was going to lead with that, and he was let go from that because of the ongoing Snow White issues. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it sounds like Disney is for sure scapegoating in this scenario. They are absolutely scapegoating. They're pointing at director Marc Webb, making it like it's all his fault, where in reality, we gotta remember the writers, right? We have to remember the writers who really were the ones that absolutely moved ahead with this movie. Now, I'm not defending Marc Webb in the least. He said some pretty dumb things about Snow White, and he is all for Disney as well, but comparing him to the Snow White writers, and in case you guys did not know, the Snow White writers are Greta Gerwig and Erin Wilson. Alright, these two absolutely love the idea of Zegler as Snow White and the seven magical creatures that are not really the seven dwarfs. So moving onwards, this is where matters get even worse. Now, we already know that there's a lot of projects that are being canceled left and right by Disney to make way and open up opportunities for other, different ideas that they're going to be experimenting with. That's why they're dropping a lot of Marvel movies, a lot of Star Wars movies left and right, to kind of clear up their slate, to spend less and make less, while also at the same exact time experimenting to see what sticks. And it just sounds like Disney's in a phase of desperation. You would never have thought about the day where Disney had to experiment with film franchises or movies when they are walking on eggshells, essentially in a very delicate position. So, moving onwards, with Webb now out of a job with Disney, he has little to no projects that he is currently working on out of significance. After Webb was fired from the Witch franchise and the planned Snow White universe that was eventually axed anyway, he reportedly got into heated arguments with the Disney higher-ups as he rearranged his scheduling for other smaller projects around for Disney. And this is now creating drama large enough to the point that it is rattling throughout all of Disney behind the scenes. Disney is now on the hunt for a new director that holds more experience to take over the Witch franchise that they are preparing as we speak behind closed doors. Now again, about this Witch franchise, from what it sounds like, they do want to make more of a dark comedy type thing, being one of their major franchises as big as Pirates of the Caribbean. The thing that I have a problem with this is that we all know what it's going to turn out to be. It's going to be another woke mess. It's going to be one of the most unplanned, unorganized franchises out there, much like what happened with Star Wars right from the get-go. We saw all how unorganized that really was. The Force Awakens to the Rise of Skywalker, everything was done on the fly. I don't know if you guys knew that, but all the scripts, all the ideas, or the brainstorming process of the trilogy was not done all at once as it should have been. If you're Disney and you're coming out buying a franchise that's already established, you should really have a whole trilogy planned right from the get-go. So, this is typical Disney behavior, scapegoating at its best, pointing at director Marc Webb as the leading cause of why Snow White failed behind the scenes and put them in such a delicate position. It's not his fault entirely. We have to remember the writers, and we also have to absolutely point the finger at Bob Iger, the board of directors, and some of the top shareholders, must I say BlackRock and Vanguard. So, we have a lot of things to talk about later on in the week. We'll keep you guys updated on all of that, but there's a lot of things going on also with the whole situation involving Snow White's ending scene. We already talked about how they scrapped the original ending and now they're actually rearranging all of it using older shot footage from June of 2022 and throwing that into the current cut. This is all a last-minute decision based on the failed test screenings for Snow White. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.